Hello and welcome back to Crushing Comics, the show where I fall in love with my comic book collection all over again as I go through the process of unwrapping it after it's made a move over 8,600 miles around the globe. So let's pick our lucky winner for the day. I need to get one of these shelves started because these are getting filled up. Let's do this one. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is huge. It's funny, I have never been one in my life to spend a lot of time devoted to my physical strength. I've been in decent shape at different points in my life, but I've never been like a weightlifter or particularly strong. Actually, I would lament how weak my upper body is, which means, you know, these comics get real darn heavy as they pile up. But actually, just in the last year before we moved, I got really into going to like a weights class at our gym. And you don't think anything of it, like you're in the gym, like doing these, you know, like doing the rows and all this stuff. And I didn't think I was getting buff, it just was something to do in the gym. Except for when it came time to start flinging around short boxes full of comics to get ready for this move, and like what used to be really hard and I'd like lean back and hurt my back and stuff, I was just like flinging them over my head. I mean, not actually, but literally the first time I did pick one up, I picked it up so quickly that I almost like lost my grip on it. And it's not like I had muscles that big. It just goes to show that like a little bit of a healthy routine goes a long way. Probably not anything I thought was relevant when I started collecting comic books back in 1991. I was like the scrawniest kid. I never thought to myself like, hey, you're going to lift weights in your 30s so that you're strong enough to move your comic books halfway around the world. Let's see what's in this giant pack. Oh man. There's going to be some talking. Oh boy. Okay. So, the X-Men had come out of a period that was after House of M, which happened in the middle of Astonishing X-Men. But Astonishing X-Men, which was by Joss Whedon, was very slow to come out, and so other titles were progressing much faster than it. They finally all caught up with each other. Astonishing X-Men ends, and effectively the next title is Messiah Complex. Like, it's like everything else ends, Astonishing X-Men ends, and then the team goes into Messiah Complex, which is not one of the books I just unpacked. But Messiah Complex basically kicks off a new era for X-Men in a lot of ways. It gives them some hope in the pun. It gives them some hope in the post-House of M world, and it also begins to relocate the team to California. So that's what these two books are. Confusingly, both titled Manifest Destiny. One is X-Men Manifest Destiny, and the other one's Uncanny X-Men Manifest Destiny. Even more confusing, neither of these pick up directly from Messiah Complex. There's a brief run of books that have not been in hardcover after that, and it's a pity because they're good-looking books, and it's Brubaker ending his run on X-Men as Fraction begins to take over. What these two books are is the one that's just titled X-Men Manifest Destiny, which looks like this, is actually just a series of anthology stories and limited series from that period that starts to reestablish the X-Men status quo on the West Coast as they've moved to San Francisco. So this has Wolverine Manifest Destiny 1 through 4, X-Men Manifest Destiny, Nightcrawler, a one-shot, and some of the stories from X-Men Manifest Destiny, although they misspell it as Manifestat Destiny 1 through 5. So not critical reading, and kind of weird that it came out in oversized hardcover. It also is in trade paperback, and that's why my hardcover is still in shrink wrap. I originally read it in paperback. At the same time, there was this arc of X-Men from 500 to 503, plus the 2008 Free Comic Book issue, Free Comic Book Day issue, and then also the other stories from X-Men Manifest Destiny 1 through 5 that weren't in that book. And this is like Fraction's big arrival at X-Men. Brubaker is still credited, but this is really the beginning of the Fraction run of X-Men. I like this. Look, okay, let's just introduce you to this title page here. This is the work of Greg Land. Greg Land has a... Gosh, I hope it is, and I'm not just making that up. I'm pretty sure that it is. Yeah. And he has a reputation of doing some tracing and having some similar looking figures on his books. And some people really dislike him for that reason. Some people dislike him because many of his women can be and have been proven to be sourced back to like being traced from swimsuit issues and some pornography. Fine. Here's what I'm going to tell you about Greg Land, though. He gives you very cinematic X-Men. Okay? It's a little bit static, and yeah, you'll catch the same faces. This is like a classic Land face right there. I'm sure we could find 5 other comics with that face. And that's Pixie. She's supposed to be like 16. So yeah, he's got some problems. But if you are somebody who came to comics from watching movies and TV shows, and you're just like, I want that experience. Why do the comics look so cartoony? Land is not going to disappoint you the way that he disappoints many other readers. And I was coming back to comics having seen covers that were like these really, not this, which I believe Alex Ross, but covers like the covers that Adi Granov, I can't say his darn name, Adi Granov was doing during Second Coming. And I was like, where are those beautiful X-Men comics? And Greg Land was the artist that, for me, conformed the most to that look. Oh, by the way, there's a Dazzler story in here, so I'm never gonna... Dazzler's my favorite, because she's like the rock and roll X-Men. Never gonna turn that down. So this is a brief arc, and it gets you underway, but the sad thing is there's no oversized hardcover that goes after this one. Marvel, sad trombone noise. Because after this, their recollections have only been in matte fraction complete collections, which are like the normal size trade paperbacks that just have like 2 or 3 original trade paperback releases in them. So it's a bummer because this is a really good X-Men run and it sets up a lot of great themes and it's just different. It's not the same old X-Men. And I would love for more to be in oversized hardcover. If it was, I'm sure they wouldn't collect around this. They would just bop this right into a bigger volume. Personally, I think that volume should start right after Messiah Complex. So this was a really big lump of books. I'm going to just do one more and then we're going to save the rest for, to be continued into the next episode. So this is Utopia, Dark Avengers, and Uncanny X-Men. So this is Matt Fraction writing the Uncanny X-Men side. It's about 13 issues after that last book. And Bendis, Brian Michael Bendis, writing his Dark Avengers in the wake of Secret Invasion. And I believe it's issues 7 and 8 in this. Okay, so the X-Men at this point are entrenched in San Francisco. Some people like that, some people don't. Norman Osborn, who you probably know as the Green Goblin, is not the Green Goblin right now, but he's leading the Dark Avengers thanks to a totally fluky moment of heroism at the end of Secret Invasion, which is not his way. He's very much in like Lex Luthor mode. So if you only know Norman Osborn from movies and things, and you're like, that doesn't really line up with how I think of him, think of Lex Luthor. So he basically captures the world's attention and then decides that he's going to control the franchise of the Avengers, and he replaces all the Avengers that we know and love with like imitation versions of them but in the same mask. So he has Bullseye, who's a very violent Daredevil villain, as Hawkeye, right? So it's a great comic, probably my favorite Brian Michael Bendis comic, because his quick dialogue really snaps in with these nasty villainous characters who, to their credit and his, don't have as much of an established voice as some of the characters he writes in Avengers, so you kind of roll with the way he scripts a little bit more than in other books. And they come to blows with the X-Men in San Francisco, and this causes something really pivotal to happen. It causes the X-Men to kind of have their backs up against the wall and head on to this island, Utopia, which, if memory serves, might be the remains of Magneto's asteroid M. I could be wrong. It's been a little while since I've read these. But this is really a great read. I don't know, again, that you need to go out and get this oversized hardcover, especially because it collects things that are only parenthetically related to Utopia. So there's this Dark X-Men, which is like Marvel's try at doing this Dark Avengers concept for the X-Men, but it's non-crucial, and it doesn't really even have that many kind of core X-Men characters to it, and it does have Mystique. It has the X-Men Legacy issues of Utopia, but they are like, what was Rogue doing during Utopia, and they don't tie directly into the crossover. So if you're just buying those Matt Fraction complete collections, which will start from that book that we were just on and continue this book, you'll get the core of the Utopia crossover, and you won't get all that sideline stuff, so you don't need this oversized hardcover. By the by, you might need the oversized hardcover if you're buying the oversized hardcover of Brian Bendis' Dark Avengers, because it skips over the Utopia issues. So I love this period of Uncanny X-Men, not just because it's what I came back to, but because I just think it really exposed a lot of characters who deserved some highlight and had the team bump up against each other in ways that we hadn't seen for a while. So I'm a big fan of this. I do have the other half of that massive stack of books here, but I'm going to save them for next episode because I need a drink of water. And it's just a lot of things to talk about in one. So we've got this run of X-Men together here. And it is time for our ceremonial shelving of the beginning of the Matt Fraction era of X-Men. I think we're going to start in this new block over here. Wow, that's a big one. We're going to be doing that one soon. Okay, so tune in next time for more Crushing Comics and find out what was the rest of that bale. I'll give you a hint. It's from that same post-Messiah complex time period, but it's the bloodiest X-Men series of all time. Tune in next time to find out. Thanks so much for watching.